One of the fun things about me is I am a shameless open book. Like, as you can tell, we've never met each other, but I can consider you a friend already because you and I just talk about literally anything. Um,
Hey, David, welcome to Meet the Team Monday.
hey, Alex, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, it is Tuesday. I know we have to record this one a little bit later since we had yesterday off for Memorial Day, but
Good.
super excited to have you on here, David. You're one of our regional sales directors here for one of our biggest clients. So super excited to chat. Just want to dive into things right off the top. Tell me a little bit about your sales career and how you ended up at demandDrive.
Yeah, 30,000 foot view. I got very fortunate to end up with demandDrive. I started my sales career in 2012 as an intern in the athletic realm with Louisiana Tech. I became an account executive for University of Arkansas Athletics. I went to the Phoenix Suns, was a senior account executive for the Phoenix Suns, selling tickets for them and their WNBA associate or affiliate rather, the Phoenix Mercury. And then I took a job as a sales manager for University of Texas Athletics. And that was about 27 years of age. I realized, my gosh, I'm working 90 hours a week for a fraction of what I deserve. That's the sports industry at its finest. And so I went to the tech industry. Worked in the tech industry for a bit. I worked in pharmaceutical sales for a bit. And then before I came to demandDrive, I was at a sports tech firm, which unfortunately I was a COVID casualty of the job market, and got very fortunate to be connected to Dan, who was looking for people to come on to the client that I'm currently on as a salesperson. And that was supposed to be more of like a temporary, hey, until the job market rebounds aspect. And I fell in love with the culture, being all the way from Texas, by the way. I haven't been in the office, but just the culture, even from a remote perspective, really struck me as something I wanted to be a part of long-term.
Love that.
So I decided to stick around, and I've been around for a year and a month, and I've been promoted a few times, and thank goodness for the opportunity.
There you go. You'll love to hear it. No, I think that's kind of a quintessential COVID hiring story. You'll hear a little bit. I think, we've been fortunate enough to be able to sort of keep some of the company culture and really just like expand it to all these, remote locations that, like, right, if there wasn't a pandemic, I don't think we would have looked to hire remote like we were. So,
some great talent is out there that is nation or internationally that you don't really see when you don't open up the parameters to, hey, we don't need everybody to be in office, which I think is something that people see now, post-COVID world, which we're nearing the end of the COVID pandemic, aspect of not being able to be near each other. It's very fortunate that I would not have ended up with demandDrive if it hadn't been for COVID, because demandDrive would not have opened the parameters to hiring somebody as far away from the office as I am.
Yeah, exactly. To dive a little bit more into how you got to demandDrive, your sort of sales journey, I want to ask you what's the biggest mistake you've made as a salesperson in any role? It doesn't have to be at demandDrive.
No, and I'll preface this as even when I interview SDR candidates, it's about, like, would you prefer to always succeed or make mistakes and learn from your mistakes? And I think that we become successful, and I think we become better people and better employees by making mistakes. And sometimes you make a mistake that you learn from that you can't stay with the company anymore, but it doesn't make you worse off because you can learn from it. And that happened to me. I think I was 25 years old, and I had a job that was a high pressure situation, 100 calls a day, had to be on the board, had to be in the top third of the board to keep your job. And I kind of fell down the path of being dishonest and going down the path of not working as hard as I should be because I was so nervous. And, from a mental health perspective, it wasn't great for me. And the company kindly asked me to step aside. After that came to light, which has turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it helps me manage on my client, helps me manage my reps to tell them, hey, mental health is very important. Talk to me. If you're feeling pressure to hit your goals, if you do go down this path, I can't help you. And you take the wind out of my sails, and you're probably not going to be part of this company much longer. But if you go this path and you have a conversation with me, which is something that back in 2000, 2014, 2015, I did not do. But if I had, and I recently had spoken with my sales director from that time, and we're still friends to this day. So that did not burn our bridge, just from a professional standpoint. Just, hey, have a conversation with me. I understand, especially in the remote world, it's very tough to always be on and always be happy when you're surrounded by your dogs and maybe your roommates, or maybe somebody that you're with, or worst case scenario, you're all alone and you really don't have anybody to talk to during the lockdown, and it can be tough. So if we're not here to talk to, then who is? And that's the lesson I learned from my own mistakes in the past. Yeah,
I love that. And I think it's something that obviously most SDRs are coming into the role pretty green. A lot of them no sales experience, or sometimes not even any real full-time job experience. I know that's how I was, and a lot of the rejection is going to happen, and a lot of the make or break situations are how you react to that rejection. If you just sort of withdraw within yourself, it's not going to go well. But if you know that there's people you can lean on and they make themselves available, I think that can make all the difference. So
100%. Which is
awesome.
Why I'm very fortunate to be in the role I'm in right now, because because of the mistakes I've made in my past, because what I've learned, I'm still learning from mistakes. So like we spoke about in the past, it's nobody's perfect, and if we're not striving to improve every day and get better, then what's the point? So that's something that I try to tell my team that I train and I coach on this project, and also the 13-year-olds that I coach, on the weekends during the week, is I'm 32 years old, 33 in a week actually. And I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to mess up, and I'm not perfect, and you're going to have to accept that I'm not perfect, and we're going to get through this together always.
Yeah, love that. And I love you. That was a nice little transition there over to the baseball side of the conversation here, because I know you played for a long time. Obviously, you're coaching now. Coolest thing I've heard about you, you're a national champion, D1 national champion, right? Tell me a little about that.
I did. So I was unfortunate to get a torn muscle in my forearm when I was actually a bat boy for the Texas Rangers when I was in high school, which I think is something you might not have known about me. And the team doctor did my scope surgery and sent me to the University of Arizona. Hall of Fame coach Andy Lopez was out there, and they were really close when they were together in the University of Florida. So I went out there and I tried to play, continued to get hurt, and so Lopes actually kept me on in operations form, where I was doing a lot of batting practice, helping grow in, because I was a little bit older, and I was helping the freshmen come in and get comfortable with the college life. And then in 2012, which was my senior year, I was director of operations, and I was doing a lot of practice stuff, and I was like a practice pitcher, and I got to be in a dog pile in 2012 in the national championship in Omaha, and I still have my ring, and we got inducted into the University of Arizona Athletics Hall of Fame a year later. So that's helped me in my coaching career now, because my coaching mentors are, they're the people who have written books about coaching, and they're, and they've so I get to read their books and saying, hey, when you said this, what did you mean? I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate this.
Wow, that's awesome.
Just cool. But yeah, that is actually, I'm looking at it right now. There's a picture in my office of me kind of holding up number 1 in the dog pile in Omaha. So that was a cool night.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm jealous. And not that I even played any D1 sport, club rugby, D3, nothing to brag about.
Athletics are athletics, and D3 is still very athletic. And honestly, I would argue, probably relatively successfully, that it is harder to play D3 at points than D1, because Division I, especially at a program like the University of Arizona, where somebody's packing your bags for you, and somebody's everything's taken care of for you, right? And you have post-game meals from Boston Market or wherever have you, and you go D3 and you're in a shed as a locker room. And my fiance's sister plays soccer at Fort Lewis in Colorado, which is Division II, and it's bus leagues, and she doesn't get anything done for her, and she gets a little bit of her scholarship taken care of, and that's it. And it's a tough environment. Different competition, sure, but it's tougher to successfully perform to the top of your athletic ability when you've been on a bus for 5, 6, 7 hours versus.
I know. My job was to drive the shuttle. It's club sports, not even,
Yeah. You mentioned club sports, because then you have somebody who's younger than you as your coach.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
It was a good experience though.
And I tell you, like, that's why minor league baseball is so hard is, hey, you're expected for less than minimum wage